Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit. Today, we're going to be making fried rice, one of my favorite authentic Chinese dishes. And besides it being delicious, there's other reasons why it's one of my favorite dishes. Let me clarify something first. When I say it's one of my favorite dishes, it's one of my favorite dishes when I make it at home myself. For some reason, in my area, it's hard to consistently find good fried rice. It's usually extremely greasy, or under or over seasoned. It's soggy, mushy, and there's very little meat, and they want you to pay between $8 and $12 for a quart of fried rice. You can make it better, healthier, and less expensive at home. And today, I'm going to show you 7 different ways I like to make fried rice at home. And regardless of what Uncle Roger says, there's no right or wrong way to make fried rice as long as you like to eat the fried rice that you make. Don't get me wrong, I love watching Uncle Roger's reviews. But if you've ever watched Uncle Roger cook fried rice, you'll know that he can't cook fried rice any better than I can walk. That's why he loves MSG and uses so much of it. It makes his fried rice not taste like shit. Jamie Oliver actually made me say all that stuff. The most important thing is you want to use a somewhat dry rice, and you don't necessarily have to use day-old rice. If you don't have day-old rice, cook the rice accordingly, then spread it out on a cookie sheet and let it sit in the refrigerator for a couple hours. The dehumidifier in the refrigerator will dry out the rice. Once you get your rice nice and dry, you can add anything and everything you want in your fried rice, especially if you have some leftover meat and vegetables. Today I'm going to show you how to make beef fried rice better than in a Chinese restaurant. It's quick and it's easy, so let's get started. I have 1 pound of sirloin that I've cut into thin, bite-sized pieces that I'm going to marinate in soy sauce and sesame oil. Give it a good mix to get the meat well coated. Add a little cornstarch and then give it a good mix. And then set it aside and let it marinate for about 10 minutes. I have my wok over medium heat. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vegetable oil. Now I'm going to scramble some eggs, and the reason I like doing this separately is so that the eggs and the rice do not clump together and there's little bits of egg throughout the rice. Add a little bit of salt and pepper. Fry the eggs for about 60 seconds. Then break up the eggs in little pieces and set them aside. Here's the meat after marinating for 10 minutes. I've increased the heat to high. Now I'm going to add about a tablespoon of vegetable oil, followed by the marinated beef. Now stir fry the beef for about 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, remove the meat and set it aside. Now I'm going to add diced onion. I like a lot of onion, so I'm going to add a lot. You can add as little or as much as you like. And some minced garlic. Stir fry for 30 seconds. Now I'm going to add frozen peas and carrots. You can use whatever kind of vegetables you like. Stir fry for 30 seconds or a little bit longer if you like your vegetables a little softer. Now I'm adding cooked rice, and it's very important your rice is dry. If you use fresh cooked rice, it's going to become a gloppy, mushy mess. Day-old rice is best, or you can cook fresh rice, then spread it out on a pan and place it into the refrigerator for a couple hours to dry. Now give it a mix to get the rice and vegetables combined. Now I'm adding toasted sesame oil, soy sauce. Now stir fry the rice and vegetables for about 2 minutes. For a full printable copy of this recipe and many more, visit the Wolfe Pit blog. Now add a little sugar and a little salt. And finally add the eggs and the meat back in. Now stir fry for another 2 minutes until everything's well combined and heated through. And there you have it. Beef fried rice. Better and healthier and also less expensive than in a Chinese restaurant. Now here's my poor attempt at using chopsticks. Hey everybody, welcome to the Wolf Pit. Today we're going to make some Chinese roast pork fried rice. And in order to make roast pork fried rice, you need to have char siu, which is Chinese roast pork. So we're going to make a marinade real quick for our char siu. And we're going to start off with 3/4 cup of light soy sauce, a half a cup of Shaoxing Chinese cooking wine, 1/3 cup of hoisin sauce, about 3 chunks plus the juice of red Chinese fermented bean curd. This is what gives it the color. 1/3 cup of honey. And about a tablespoon of Chinese 5-spice powder. And we're just going to mix all this together. It looks like a lot more than a tablespoon, but it's a tablespoon. Now we have about 2 pounds of pork shoulder that I've cut up in small pieces. So I'm going to get this into our marinade. Alright, we have all our meat in our marinade, and now we're going to put this in the fridge for 3 to 4 hours. Our pork's been marinated for about 4 hours now, and we have it on a broiler pan, and we're going to put this under a broiler on low until it gets nice and roasted. Normally I like to do this on the grill, but I don't have time tonight, so we're going to do it in the oven. Alright, after about 15 minutes under a broiler on low, our pork is done. We're going to go ahead and get this sliced up. Beautiful, moist, beautiful. Alright, all our roast pork is sliced up. We're going to go ahead and start frying our rice. Alright, we're going to start our fried rice off with 4 eggs. They've been scrambled. There's about 3 tablespoons of oil. Right now we're going to add about 2 teaspoons of garlic and half of a yellow onion. And maybe 3 cups of rice. Now we're going to add about a cup of frozen peas and carrots. Alright, now we're going to add half of our pork, 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, and a teaspoon of sesame oil. Now we're going to add half of our eggs back in. Alright, there you go. Our fried rice is done. Dig in here and get a bite. I'm going to cheat a little bit here with these chopsticks and use them as a scooper. I'm not very good with chopsticks. So let's get a bite here. See, I'll turn that nice and piping steamy hot. The key to that is the roast pork. You get the sweet, the spicy, the cinnamony flavor from the 5-spice powder in the pork. So good. Tonight we're going to make some shrimp fried rice, and it's pretty basic and straightforward. And we're going to start off with 3 eggs. Quickly scramble these. We're going to go ahead and pull this out. We're going to add in a couple more tablespoons of oil. And now we're going to add in 1 yellow onion. There's a couple tablespoons of garlic underneath the vegetables. Now, I like to use frozen vegetables in my fried rice. I just think they turn out better. This is peas, carrots, and corn, peas, carrots, corn, and a little bit of green bean. We're going to go ahead and stir fry this for a few seconds. And you just want to saute that down, or stir fry it down just for a couple seconds. I like the vegetables to have a little bit of bite to them. And then we're going to add in 3 cups of rice. This is rice that's been pre-cooked, and I'll let it cool off and dry. Day-old rice is best. And to the rice, we're going to add in about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, and about 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. And now we're going to go ahead and add in our scrambled eggs. Now we're going to add in about, it's roughly 3/4 pound of medium shrimp. And we're going to go ahead and turn the heat off. And this way you don't overcook your shrimp again. So the residual heat from the rice and the burner and the cast iron pan, this will cook your shrimp perfectly, and you don't have rubbery shrimp. Alright, there we go. Our shrimp fried rice is done. I'm going to go ahead and give it a bite here. There we go. We got big old nice shrimp. Lots of vegetables and egg. Let's give this a try. You're not going to get fried rice like that from a Chinese restaurant. Like today, I'm going to be using leftover Chinese roast duck, but you can use any kind of meat you like or leave the meat out completely. Today I'm going to be using my wok, but you don't need a wok to make fried rice or any other kind of Chinese food. Any large, heavy bottom skillet will work. Our stovetops at home don't get nearly as hot as the ones in the restaurants. So if you use a heavy bottom skillet or a wok and you set your heat on high, it'll help retain the heat better. So I'm adding the duck meat and the skin to the wok over high heat. And if you noticed, I didn't add any oil, and that's because there's still a lot of fat in the duck skin. So let the duck meat and the skin cook for a few minutes until all the fat is rendered down and the skin is nice and crispy and the meat is nice and moist and succulent. Then remove the duck meat and the skin and all but a tablespoon of the duck fat. And now scramble 2 eggs in the remaining duck fat. You can use as many or as few eggs as you like. I usually use 1 egg per 1 cup of cooked rice. Once the eggs are done, remove them from your wok or your skillet. You can leave the eggs in if you like, but I don't like overcooked eggs that feel like you're chewing on erasers. Now we're going to add some of the reserved duck fat. And this duck fat is infused with cinnamon, star anise, 5-spice powder, ginger, and garlic, which was all stuffed into the duck's cavity before we roasted it. Duck fat on its own is rich and delicious. With all the added aromatics, it's even better. Next, I'm adding diced yellow onion. You can use any kind of onion you like. I happen to like the big crunchy pieces of onion in my fried rice, but you can use the more traditional spring onions, or any kind of onions will work. Stir fry the onions for 30 seconds or so, or a little bit longer if you don't like them crunchy, and then add minced garlic and stir fry for another 15 seconds, and then add your rice. Now give everything a good mix and stir fry for 30 seconds, and then add whatever kind of vegetables you like. In today's fried rice, I'm just adding peas and carrots. Some of my other favorite fried rice vegetables is baby bok choy, any kind of cabbage, and fresh bean sprouts. But for some reason, it's easier to find Waldo than it is fresh bean sprouts around here. Then give it all a good mix to get everything incorporated, and then add a pinch of sugar, a pinch of MSG, a couple shakes of sesame oil, and some light soy sauce. And then give it a good mix, and add the duck meat and the crispy duck skin back in. Mix that all together. And finally, right before serving, add the eggs back in. And there you have it, Chinese roast duck fried rice with crispy duck skin. But this could be any kind of fried rice you want it to be. It could be beef, pork, chicken, turkey, shrimp, whatever kind of meat you want to use, or whatever kind of meat you have on hand, or whatever kind of meat you have left over. And the same thing with the vegetables. Make your fried rice the way you like to eat it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of Eating on a Budget. If you're watching the Eating on a Budget series for the first time, or if you're one of my hard-headed long-time viewers, you know who you are, knuckleheads. The Eating on a Budget series is about making very inexpensive, delicious meals for struggling families that don't know from day to day where their next meal is coming from. But the good news is, these meals are good whether you're on a budget or not. And just because you could eat one of these meals by yourself, you need to realize some people don't have the luxury to eat until they're full and they have to settle for a smaller portion. So to all of you armchair competitive eating donkeys, I know you can eat it all, and I'm super proud of you. So now that I've made it clear that I know you can do it, there's no reason for you to leave a comment telling me you can eat all of it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your whole family a delicious, protein-filled meal for $3.90. The good thing about this meal is it's extremely versatile and can be made with almost any ingredient you have in your pantry or refrigerator. So let's get started. In a large pot, add 1 pound of white rice, which is about 2.5 cups of rice. Then add 5 cups of water. Turn the heat to high. Bring to a boil. Then reduce the heat to medium-low, cover, and cook for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, give the rice a good mix, and then spread it out onto a cookie sheet, and let the rice cool, and then place it into the refrigerator uncovered for a few hours or overnight. If you want to skip this step, cook the rice the day before. Once the rice is nice and dry, we're ready to cook. So in a very large skillet over medium-high heat, add some cooking oil. If you're not using a non-stick skillet, always make sure your skillet is preheated before you add the oil. If you start with a preheated skillet and add your oil, it turns an ordinary skillet into a non-stick skillet. I know some of you are already cringing and saying that's a whole lot of oil, but it's the only oil that's going to be used in this meal. And broken down between a whole lot of servings in this dish, it's not really a whole lot of oil. Now if you don't have oil or you don't want to use oil, you could use leftover bacon grease, lard, butter, cooking spray, or nothing at all if you have a good non-stick pan. Here's a little tip for free cooking fat. When you trim excess fat off of meats or remove skin from chicken, throw them into a Ziploc bag into the freezer. Then when you need some fat, throw a couple pieces of the fat or skin into your skillet over medium heat and let the pieces of fat heat up and render. Then either remove the pieces of fat or leave them in depending on what you're cooking. By the way, the rendered chicken fat is called schmaltz, which is mostly used in Jewish cuisine. And it's absolutely delicious. Now using the most advanced temperature measuring device you can find, see if your oil is ready. If the oil bubbles around the chopstick, the oil is ready. Once your oil is up to temperature, add 1 dozen large scrambled eggs. And it's extremely important that only 10 of the 12 eggs are beaten like they stole your lunch money. Then season the eggs with salt, pepper, granulated garlic, and granulated onion. But like I said in the beginning of the video, and you can add whatever seasonings you like or what you have on hand. Once you have your eggs seasoned the way you want them, nonchalantly break the other 2 egg yolks that you missed when you initially beat the eggs, and try your best to make it look like that's what you meant to do. Then let the eggs cook for about 30 seconds, and then after 30 seconds, add a 12-ounce bag of frozen mixed vegetables, or any other vegetables or beans that you like or have on hand, fresh, canned, or frozen. At this point, you can search through your refrigerator to see if there's any leftover chicken, pork, beef, seafood, or tofu. Tofu? I guess if that's your thing, it'll work. Now give it all a real good mix. Then let the eggs sit and cook for another 30 seconds or so. Then stir again and repeat this process until the eggs are set. Once the eggs are set, it's time to add our dry rice. And while mixing everything together, break up any clumps of rice you see. Continue doing this until the rice is all broken up and heated through. And then add chopped green onion. And at this point, the fried rice is technically done, if you don't have anything else to add to it. But I had a few leftover soy sauce packets from Chinese takeout that I mixed with a bit of sugar for an Asian flair. But you don't have to add that. You can eat it as is, or you can add a little tomato sauce, barbecue sauce, can of cream soup, gravy, can of drained diced tomatoes with or without chili peppers. When you're cooking, the only thing that limits your ingredients is your imagination. Don't be afraid to experiment with food, especially when you have limited funds and ingredients. You'll be surprised with what you can come up with that actually tastes good. So if you decide to add anything else, give it a good mix until everything is well combined and heated through. Then it's time to eat. Now serve up the fried rice, or whatever you decide to call it, however you like. I simply molded the rice into a 1-cup bowl for a nice little presentation. I'll tell you what, when I first served it up, it didn't look like a lot of food. But by the time I got to the last bite, I was truly satisfied. I guess you could say that 1-cup serving of fried rice, eggs, and vegetables is a very generous serving, especially when you're on a budget. So with that said, 1 cup of uncooked rice makes 5 1-cup servings of cooked rice. So obviously, 2 cups of uncooked rice will make 10 1-cup servings. So even though we had a 1-pound bag, which actually has about 2.5 cups, but we'll just go ahead and stick with the 2 cups that makes 10 servings. If you have smaller appetites or young kids, it'll make even more servings. So for $3.90, we made enough food to make 10 servings or feed 10 people. 4 of us had this for dinner the night I made the video, then I had it for lunch the next day, and then the following day, I added some chopped up chicken that we had left over from dinner the night before, and we turned this into chicken fried rice and had it for dinner again. So this is another way to make a lot of delicious food for very little money. I really hope that this video helps at least one struggling person or one struggling family have a nice delicious, nutritious meal or meals. But it would be even better if it helped a lot of people. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? You guys know my profound love for Spam and how versatile Spam is in general. But the varieties of flavors of Spam make it even more versatile to make all kinds of recipes. Like chorizo Spam breakfast scramble, meat lovers bloomin' Spamian, the ultimate egg slut sandwich, classic Spam musubi, grilled Spam Hawaiian pizza, candy Spam and macadamia nut cookies. And when you have a love and addiction to Spam like I do, you make your own homemade Spam. So today, I'm trying teriyaki flavored Spam and making Spam Hawaiian fried rice. I don't know why all Spam isn't made with the traditional 7 ingredients, besides the different seasonings made to make different flavors. But teriyaki Spam and quite a few other flavors of Spam have additional ingredients to include mechanically separated chicken, and obviously different seasonings for the different flavors of Spam. I just can't understand why they just don't stick to the classic pork shoulder and ham. There's 6 2-ounce servings in all normal-sized cans of Spam. Per 2-ounce serving, the teriyaki flavor Spam has 160 calories, 12 grams of total fat, 4 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 40 milligrams of cholesterol, 670 milligrams of sodium, 5 carbohydrates, no fiber, 4 grams of sugars, and 7 grams of protein. On the back of the can, there's a breakfast musubi recipe that sounds absolutely fantastic that has eggs and bacon along with the normal Spam, rice, and nori. I'll definitely be trying that soon, so stay tuned. You can fry, bake, or microwave Spam, but putting Spam in the microwave is the most disrespectful thing you can do to the glorious Spam. It's a must to get a nice crispy crust on the outside of Spam, which you cannot get in a microwave. So if you're microwaving your Spam, stop it. Let's open up the can, get it out, and give it a try. As soon as I opened up the can, the first thing I noticed was it was obviously darker than regular Spam due to the teriyaki sauce. And you get a whiff of the teriyaki flavor, which smelled really good. So let's cut the teriyaki Spam up into small cubes, give it a taste, and then make some Hawaiian fried rice. You guys already know the deal with my hands, so please don't give me grief about tucking my fingers in. The only knife that is capable of cutting through my skin is the Plastisue. After all, I'm a trained professional. Well, at least I play one on YouTube, and I have Kevlar skin. Here's what it looks like up close. I gave it a try, and this Spam is absolutely delicious. It has a great flavor, but it's more of a garlic flavor than teriyaki, which is fine with me. But I was expecting it to taste more like teriyaki. Either way, it's really good, but the texture is much softer than normal Spam. And I attribute that to the additional ingredients like mechanically separated chicken, which when you get into that phase, this is more like bologna or a hot dog loaf. Hormel, if you're listening, please stop adding chicken to glorious Spam. I found myself continuously eating pieces of the teriyaki Spam. Honestly, I could have eaten it all straight out of the can. I'm asked a lot if you can make stir-fry foods in a skillet if you don't have a wok, and the answer is yes. So that's what I'm going to do today. In a large skillet over medium-high heat, add some oil, and it looks like a lot of oil, but this is all the oil that's going to be used in the whole dish. Once the oil is hot, pour in 3 scrambled eggs. After you pour the eggs in, let them sit for about 30 seconds. This will help keep them from sticking. After 30 seconds, start stir-frying and chopping up the eggs. The total cook time for the eggs is about 1 minute, and that includes the first 30 seconds. Once the eggs are just cooked through, take them out of the skillet. Then add the cubed up teriyaki Spam and stir fry for 2 to 3 minutes or until it begins to caramelize and get a nice crispy crust on the outside. Once it's browned up nicely, add fresh, homegrown, organic store-bought minced garlic straight out of the jar, even though it already had a great garlic flavor. You can never have enough garlic, can you? Then add chopped onion and bell pepper, which I normally don't put into fried rice, but this is Hawaiian fried rice. I have no idea why that means it needs bell pepper, but I thought it did to be different. Depending on how big your vegetables are when you cut them up, and how tender you like them, the cooking time will vary. My wife cut these up for me using one of these vegetable choppers, which cut them into pretty small pieces. Smaller than I would normally cut them. But hey, I can't be picky. I didn't have to cut them up. So I'm only stir frying for about 30 seconds because I like tender, crisp vegetables. After 30 seconds, add frozen peas and carrots. If you want to use fresh, go for it. Stir fry for another 30 seconds. Then add the bottom white part of some chopped green onion. And then stir fry for another 30 seconds. After stir frying for 30 seconds, add 3 cups of cooked day-old rice and stir fry for 2 to 3 minutes. After 2 to 3 minutes, add oyster sauce and teriyaki sauce and give it a quick stir fry. Then add sesame oil, and the eggs, and stir fry for another 30 seconds. Now this next ingredient is optional, but to me, you gotta have it with Hawaiian food. Unfortunately, I found out about the hatred towards this ingredient in the Hawaiian pizza video. But I'm gonna add it anyway. Fresh, organic, homegrown pineapple right out of the can. Along with the tops of green onions. Give that a quick mix. Like I said, this is not your typical fried rice. And I know a lot of you say pineapple doesn't belong on a pizza, and I'm sure you're gonna say it doesn't belong in fried rice either. But I think it's good on pizza, and I think it's gonna be good in this fried rice. Once it's plated up, the only thing left to do is to give it a try. And it certainly looks good, but that doesn't matter. It's how it tastes that counts. So I tried a piece of the cooked teriyaki Spam first. Although the flavor was really good, and it got a nice crust on it, the inside texture was totally ruined when it cooked. It's pretty much mush inside, there's no texture to it. It reminds me a lot of treat, which I think is pretty gross. But like I said, flavor-wise, the teriyaki Spam is good. So then I tried a bite with a little bit of everything, and it was delicious. The teriyaki sauce is a nice change up to fried rice. I like the crunch of the bell peppers and the onions, and to be perfectly honest, I think the pineapple made this fried rice. The sweetness from the pineapple really balanced out the salt, and the Spam, the teriyaki sauce, and the oyster sauce. Overall, flavor-wise, this was delicious. I absolutely loved the teriyaki Spam out of the can, even though the texture was still a little funky then. But once it was cooked, I did not care for the texture one bit. I would certainly make the Spam Hawaiian fried rice again, but I would use original Spam. So I'm gonna give the teriyaki Spam a 6 out of 10. Had the texture been like original Spam, this may have gotten the first 10-point rating out of all the things I've tried so far. The texture is what prevented that. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.